couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to produce a story on what has become probably my favorite ghost town. And one of my interview subjects was a gentleman named Mickey. He was the owner of the local museum and an invaluable resource to that history. Well, I recently received an email from the family thanking me for the video because unfortunately Mickey has passed. So I'd like to kick off the new year with some old history and a great big thank you to all of the folks like Mickey donating their own time and money to preserve our history here in Canada, because we are in a bit of a unique position where we can basically preserve a country in its infancy, and it's not going to happen without people just like Mickey. So I am saddened but honored to bring to you Telegraph Creek and Mickey Ferguson.
There's a whole vast region here that's known as the Golden Triangle anyways, and there's so much ore in it, it's just unbelievable.
Ain't no difference, look at you now. And baby, cut yourself, baby, cut yourself loose. Save all the things that I said that night. Playing it cool, but I never got it right.
I think I have found British Columbia's most pristine little ghost town. You guys gotta see it.
I was the only guy living down here for years, you know, and even me and my wife way back in the early 80s, for a couple of winters, there was one little old lady down by the creek and one way down at the end, on the other end past the Hudson Bay building, and me and her up on the hill here, and that was a big population in downtown here.
Telegraph Creek was the getting off point, or the last part of the river for the gold rush days. Boats couldn't get up to Telegraph in the beginning because of Buck's Bar down around the corner here. There was rapids there, but they eventually blasted a few rocks out and they were able to get the big boats up to Telegraph.
The Victoria was the main meeting grounds for all of the people that would hang around during the winters and learn about where the next great gold strike was, type thing, you know. But Seattle, there was a lot of the boats even that were built in Seattle, and that started out from down there, eh? They would come out of there and come all the way up the ocean and then up the river, yeah.
Telegraph is connected by river to Wrangell, Alaska. In the beginning, fur traders and Hudson Bay Company and looking for furs, and then it kind of transferred into prospectors and gold discovery. So there was another route to the Klondike, so to speak, right?
It's 165 miles, all right, from Wrangell to here. And it was pretty much a 4-day trip for them to come up, and a lot of cords of wood. Sometimes there were certain places when the water was real high and tough going where they had to actually hook on winches till they had pins in the bedrock, and they would go out with a little boat and then take the cable and hook on, and they would winch themselves up until they got through the bad spot, and then they'd carry on from there, kind of thing. And different water levels and stuff like that, eh? But they could go all the way down in one good long day. Yeah.
At one point in the height, like 1898, the height of the gold rush stuff, there was like 10,000 people in the area, right? All seeking to get inland to the gold fields and what have you.
There was Scotchmen here, Englishmen here, there's all kinds when it comes to looking for gold, you know.
A lot of the people that lived here and supported the building of the line and all the non-Taltans relied heavily on the Taltans for survival through the winter. So the last boat would come up sometime in October, and you'd never see another boat until late May next year, type of thing, right?
You know, when you needed something to eat, you had to go hunt to get it, or fish to get it, or whatever, you know, like You could buy some stuff out of the stores, but of course, interesting to say the stores actually bought meat from the people back in them days. But no, I think it was a good, just basic, simple, you know, hard-working, simple life, you know, like, yeah, would have been great. Once the whole gold thing fizzled out, you know, because the big thing was getting to here and Dease and on, right? And then, I mean, then basically afterwards, it's just the locals that were here, right? And most of them were all up top, eh? And so with the boats not running anymore, you know, none of that stuff happening anymore, it just kind of fizzled away, eh? The first vehicle came in 1928. So I guess they thought it was some kind of a road by then, but you can bet it wasn't much.
In the 40s, Telegraph became a transport hub for supplies to Watson Lake.
We even hauled all the asphalt to build the airstrip in Watson Lake because of the World War II situation. Came up the Stikine in 45-gallon drums.
They would barge stuff to Telegraph and then pack train it to Dease Lake and back on the barge at Dease.
Down the Dease Lake and down the Dease River to the yard, and then truck to the point where they actually built the airport. Imagine that! All in 45-gallon drums.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess they were stacked as high as you could stack them all the way up the hill. My father-in-law remembers he was a young fella then, and how high all of those things were piled, yeah.
And that's really when the road really got punched through, was then, because they needed to get a lot of freight to Watson Lake in a big hurry.
A lot of these lots are like 6,000 or 6,900. I'd love to see some of them, like the old hospital up there, bought by somebody. It's owned by the actual RCMP right now. And there was a bunch that were owned by school district at one time. There was old teacherages and stuff. They got rid of them. It's reverted back to the Crown. And there were some that were not actually deeded, but leased properties and things like that. It would be nice to see somebody actually fix up some of them. So many of them are getting run down because there's still the main town up top and everything. So there's still people here all the time, you know, not like those old ghost towns that everybody just disappeared. We still have a town site up top, right? And of course in the summer down here, there's still lots of coming and going.
The maintenance is a big part of keeping an old building running. So there's daily issues, be it water or wastewater or chairs or rodents, right?
I always say there's always something to do down at Telegraph. There's always a job that needs to be fixed, like if it's not the stairs, you need to get an extra step changed, or repainting something that's gotten too faded, or even where I'm helping demolish, there was an old building up there that I'd gotten from like the 70s. An avalanche that came in and just crushed it against a tree. And so we spent like 2 weeks just making sure to clean it up so that it doesn't disrupt anything else around here. There's always work to be done.
You know that at one time, like there was many sets of stairs too that went from one flat up to the next type thing, you know. And they were all maintained by the Department of Public Works. And they kept them up and they kept the walk walls up and everything. And so I don't know what year it was that they quit funding all that, but it's been a long time, I know that. Lots of them are just coming down now, you know.
I grew up in Calgary, Alberta. This is my mom's everything. She came up here when she was a kid. My grandma was born here. I can point out the house that she was born at and then the house that she lived in. Everyone knows everyone here. It's not even that everyone knows everyone. Everyone knows everyone's dog. Somewhere like Calgary, it's like you don't know everybody. I'd be going on the subway and it's like I don't know anyone here. It's almost a shock when you do see someone you recognize. Well, here you can see the family tree. These are people I never really knew, but it's just interesting to think that I have so many roots down here I didn't even know. And it's important to remember those things. There is much more than just the city. There is much, much more than all the crowded people and all the random things and all the making sure you're in a nice house and all that. You got to come here and realize there are so much more simple things that are still just as good.
Just turned off the highway in Dease Lake, got some fuel, got some supplies. $2.46 a liter for diesel. Going forwards from here, it's all new territory for me, and we're heading down into Telegraph Creek. Spot that's been on the list for a couple of years, but I could never do it in the motorhome because supposedly there's a pretty gnarly hill dropping down in there. Should be no problem for the new rig. Either way, looking forward to checking it out. Just starting down the hill. 20% grade is definitely steep, but I've been told what the challenge is with this hill is the length. Now, brakes do a great job slowing and stopping your vehicle, but they don't like to be ridden. Lucky for me, I have the exhaust brake in this rig, so as long as I'm patient with the hill, I should be able to do the whole thing with just the exhaust brake. I've been seeing horse poop all the way coming down the hill. I just hit a little plateau here. There's 2 wild horses. I mean, I'm assuming they're wild. I don't know why else they'd be here. Beautiful big horses. See if I can get a shot without spooking them. I often wonder if wildlife ever stops to enjoy the view. This friggin' guy's just taking it in right now. He seems at least a little bit domesticated, or at least curious in me. I'm gonna see how close I can get. I'll bring the GoPro for you guys. Hey, you're a big boy, huh? You want a pet? Look at you. Big boy. Huh? Oh, good boy. These must be domesticated horses out here. I don't know. There's 5 of them actually. There's 3 in there and then this guy. Let's see another one there. What a beautiful place. What a good boy. All right, let's make our way down the hill. This was a nice stop. There's goats on the side of the mountain here. This is unbelievable. It's like driving right down into another country. I gotta stop and get a shot of these goats for you guys. Those goats were cool, but this road is unbelievable. It's cliff on either side and what looks like two different rivers. Never seen anything like it before. Looks like I can drive right over there. Wow. I don't know how I'm gonna get further than this season. Wait till you guys see the place I'm pulling onto right now. This is it. This is where I live now. It's very difficult to film this in a way that's gonna translate how beautiful it really is. Look at this. Just vertical cliff on that side. And the structures left behind from the lava is just incredible. Look at this one. I think this is the Taltan River here, flowing into the Stikine. Nice clear water. I knew it was gonna be nice down here just from what everyone said. I had no idea it would be this nice. The plan was supposed to be just a couple days down here. Don't know what it's gonna turn into. I think it's gonna be more than a couple days.
The drive here is something that it's hard to explain to people. I always say, you gotta drive it yourself. I started driving here when I was 16 when I just got my license. So I learned my driving on these roads, and some people will come up here driving, and some of those cliff sides, you're driving on the road here and it's a one-way lane where it's supposed to be two cars coming, and you can looking over and you're like, that's a cliff. Like, it's a straight drop down from the drive there.
I think for a lot of people, I mean, the first 50 kilometers are like, what's Telegraph Creek Road all about? It's just a windy mess of corners right now, right? And then you come around a corner at Tuya and you're like, oh shit, right? There's a canyon and oh wow, look at how beautiful it is. So the last 40 kilometers is spectacular.
You have to see it. You got to experience it. You get to see those flat drops. It almost looks like if you took a knife to the ground and just cut it. And it's just flat.
Okie dokie, I'm ready to rate the road. This thing gets a friggin' 10 out of 10. This is awesome. Just rolling in, and the last little drop down into the ghost town is pretty spectacular in its own. Drop right down this little river valley in between the cliffs. It's a beautiful drive. Well, if you joined Destination Adventure during the Lot 32 build, I hope you enjoyed some of my adventure content. If you're here for the adventures, hopefully this was a nice midwinter fix. But most of all, thanks for watching, everybody.